All right. So, of course, first things first, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are.
My name is Bib Summer. I am a musical artist hailing from North London, producer, rapper extraordinaire.
And yeah, first things first, let's talk about, of course, like new projects coming up for you. And let's talk about your newest single. You want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
Ooh, so latest single is called I Try My Best. It's off of the deluxe version of a collaborative project that I dropped with my boy, good friend of mine, Tyler Lux. He obviously produced that tune alongside a lot of the other records that are on the project and the deluxe. And yeah, as for this tune, we kind of went a different approach, really and truly, or I went a different approach in terms of the subject matter. It's much more intimate, it's much more personal. A little bit is delving into, as the title suggests, just trying my best really and truly when it comes to this whole music career that I'm doing, I am pursuing, and then just the trial and tribulations that really come with that. Namely, really dating, feeling like kind of having to sacrifice certain parts of your own personal life in order to, I guess, pursue that. So the song really just delves in that, and it's just a to and fro. It's just a process, but in all of that, I try my best.
And maybe you want to get into depth about, of course, like the deluxe version of your latest album.
Right. So where Gaia was a whole new world that we're building, and the whole base version of the project was us, I guess, traveling towards Gaia and making it by the end. This project is a bit more in the midst of it, it's a bit more grounded. I feel like the core project of Gaia is much more ethereal, it's up in the air, even down to the production and the subject matter and just the vibe overall. And this one is a little bit more grounded. It's a little bit more as if I'm already in Gaia. And funny enough, Gaia is actually pretty similar to Earth in a sense that subject matter wise, I feel like it's much more personal. While the core project built the world, this is more so living in the world.
And I'm also curious to know, like, how did you come up with your stage name?
Oh, so initially it was just a username, really and truly. It just started off it must have been like when I was like 15 or 14, obviously watching a lot of anime and whatnot. I was just like, I need a new Instagram name, and then it just came to me with summer. And then by nature of it being my username on like I think Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it became my SoundCloud name as well before I even started making music, and I just never changed it. That's pretty much it. I just never really changed it. As I got older, and then at first I was kind of a bit hesitant to go through that name just because of the Japanese influences. I'm like, oh no, I don't want people to think I'm a weeb or anything like that. But then those rappers like for example Lord Apex having the Lord in his name and obviously Summer being like a honorification kind of like equivalent to that. I was like, you know what? Screw it, why not? Let's do it.
And describe the music scene from where you're from.
It's probably the most exciting that it's ever been. It's one of the most exciting times ever. I feel like we've gotten to a point where all of when I originally started making music in like 2016, so when I was like 16, a lot of it was because I was seeing a lot of people all around the world, whether it be DIY culture in the UK through obviously historic genres such as grime and jungle and everything like that, or mainly the 2016 era, SoundCloud era, and seeing everyone just making music from their bedroom. I was like, I want to do that. So seeing, I guess, us having that whole moment where people that I have been like performing with for years or having known or been in sessions with or just been around now, like kind of see that critical acclaim and just succeed. Jim winning the MOBO the other day, people touring left, right, and center, me myself being able to perform in different countries or even at home and just work with people all around the world. It's exciting. People are just the most expressive that they've ever been, really and truly, in terms of their production, in terms of their music, in terms of like their self or autonomy, being able to just make whatever they want to make at home, not having to go through a label or distro or this, that, whatever to, curate their vibe or whatever. People just authentically them. And obviously with the internet now being such a melting pot of cultures, people are just exchanging cultures and vibes and uh, production styles, vocal styles, this, that, and it's just it's really just an exciting time. So there's a lot going on, and I couldn't ask for more.
No, I definitely agree, especially when you brought up how the internet is very much a melting pot. And kind of going into our next question, what type of impact do you want to leave when it comes to your music? Do you just want people to, I guess, kind of explore new sounds?
I would say for me, the main impact I want to have just from my music is people acknowledging their right to self-identify and self-determine who they are and how they present themselves in the world, what kind of sounds they want to delve into. Really and truly, just keeping it simple, just inspiring people to be themselves, um, as pure and as authentic, and however that shows up, just being and letting that, I guess, manifest through their art. And I feel like that's the most effective way to really inspire. I feel like a lot of the people that I look up to, artistically, have just 100% been themselves through their art, and it's infectious, it's contagious, and it's like really inspirational. So I feel like I really am having that effect on a lot of people, and I just want to continue to do so.
And is there any like inspirations of yours you want to like, I guess, mention, like any artists you are inspired by?
Ooh, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. Obviously, being from the UK, there's obviously the classics. Graham is a huge, I guess, influence in terms of just how I guess model my whole process. Whether it be artists like, of course, Skepta, of course, JME, of course, a whole lot of people, a whole lot of producers, people like, I don't know, like a Predator or whatever, where they have essentially been like key cornerstones to what we really listen to now today. A lot of these people, for example, Skepta and Jamie, being producers themselves, producer, rappers, and writers, amazing stuff. And then just globally, I'm usually inspired by anything, any and everything. But notably, some of my favorite artists of all time, like a JPEG Mafia, for example, a Mac, for example, a Flying Lotus, for example. I love Mia Sampha. I love James Blake. Um, there's a lot of amazing, really cool artists out right now. Shout out Days God. That's my guy from obviously New York as well. Making amazing music as well as DJing left, right, and center. And even people on his label as well. Dead Air, like they've just been doing really cool, amazing stuff as well. So there's just a lot of when I say the scene is like so exciting, not only like locally in the UK, but globally, it's just there's so much inspiration to draw like left, right, and center.
And when it comes to visuals, how do you approach that for your music?
Cool. So initially, I'm a visual artist. Fine art was my thing up until maybe I was like 20. So I did it in school, up until I got to university. And when I went to university, I actually did English and film. So having that film background, I've always been a visual person first and foremost. Music is actually a later stage of like my artistic development. But it's always something that I valued so so passionately. When I make music, a lot of it is just accompanied mentally with visuals in my head, or rather, sometimes I'll do a thing where I'll make a song based on an image that I see, or have create an image based on a song that I have. And now I've gotten to a point where I have amazing, 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 amazing team around me. Whether it be Reno Sisson, directing and shooting and editing and grading all of my videos that you see for the past year, whether it be amazing, amazing artists and graphic designers that I work with, like yearly at this point, such as Dirt Boy from the UK as well, such as Eclipse from the States. Um, it's really important for me to be able to communicate myself in every medium that I have available to me. So while I'm personally able to do that in my music through the production, through the writing, through the mixing and mastering, I have an amazing team around me that enable me to, I guess, articulate myself in other ways, and they kind of get the idea. They know who I am as well, so they are able to take that and run with it and make something that aligns with me as well, which is real beautiful to have at this stage in my career.
And if you could define yourself as an artist in one word, what would that word be and explain why?
Oh, I'm a bit stuck. I would probably say um iridescent. Iridescent. In a sense that I feel like my music and my artistry often has a kind of like ethereal nature to it in a sense that it shimmers and it shines depending on the light and depending on the setting. There's always a different color, there's always a different shade, there's always a different level of depth. It adapts to the environment and there's always new qualities to be found. Depending on the setting, depending on the context that you're, I guess, like digesting the art. And it's really pretty.
Good answer. And when it comes to your music journey, are you like, I guess, self-taught in a lot of things musically, or have you taken any classes kind of expanding your skills?
Nah, all self-taught. All self-taught. I can't lie, I'm a pretty stubborn guy. So I like when I first started making music or anything that I want to learn, I'll watch like a couple tutorials and then after I'll just hop right into it and just do what I need to do. And especially when it came to music, a lot of it was pretty much by myself. It's the only recently I really collaborate with other people. And yeah, but I just find it fun. I find learning in general really, really fun. So when it comes to learning a new skill, that trial and error part of it is just really fun to do by myself. Obviously, certain things I like sit down and maybe like when it came to mixing, I had to sit down and like learn, like, I mean, listen to a course or read like some articles and really understand and ask questions and whatnot. So the taught aspect really comes maybe later, but for the most part, it's just self-taught. And it's fun. I feel like that really defines a lot of my characteristics that you hear in my music.
Hmm. And have you been, I guess, kind of learning a little bit more about yourself while, um, of course, doing things that, sorry, you're self-taught by?
Um, Most definitely. I feel like I learn a lot of when you're self-taught, you kind of I guess realize a lot of like kind of like preconceived like notions and like ideas and just like tendencies and preferences that you do have. And it really comes out in that way. For example, let's say I have a preference for certain chord progressions because I grew up playing certain fantasy games or watching certain films or animes where they use that certain progression and that maybe tickles my heart in a certain way to where it just like shows in my music. But I feel like if maybe I had like more of a structured learning, not to say that that would go away, that preference would go away, but I don't know, the journey just straight up would be much more different. So I feel like a lot of times because I don't necessarily have that, I guess, solid foundation of knowledge that quote unquote should know, um, it leads me to, I guess, really go on a feeling a lot of the time. And when it comes to music, that's an amazing thing to have.
And when you were speaking about, of course, collaborations earlier, are you planning on doing more? Are you planning on also doing like live performances?
For sure, 100%, 1,000,000%. That's a big thing for me this year. Like I really wanna work with a lot more artists. Funny enough, I regard myself as a producer first and foremost. So I really want to produce for a lot more artists. Really want to release a lot more stuff, send it out to DJs, stuff for the parties, stuff to move to. I'd love to executive produce another project for someone. I'd love to be a creative man in terms of direction for other people. I really just want to work with other people for sure, 100%, whether they be domestically in the UK. Internationally is a huge thing. That's probably my biggest ambition for this year, really working like with everyone, whether they be in the States, whether they be in East Asia, whether they be in Africa, whether they be in Europe, whether they be in Oceania, like South America, wherever, everywhere. Like I'm about.
And most importantly, do you want to like, I think maybe you explained this a little bit earlier, but do you maybe want to tell a story through your music?
Um, hmm. Yes. Yeah. I try to not make it, I guess, too. overt in a sense where obviously with Gaia there is like an overarching like I guess narrative going on when it comes to traveling to a new world, but I really try to not make it so solid in a sense where it's us following a certain protagonist and this, that, and whatever. I like to tell stories more generally in a sense of track to track basis, personal stories, stories that have been embellished to kind of a bit fit a narrative for something that I've observed, like just living life. Um, there's always some sort of narrative for sure. And there's always something to take away from. As much as like the sonics, the like the sound of stuff is really like enveloping, like and it just really is so rich. There's always something that is to be said in my tracks or is being said in a lot of my tracks. Um, and that's just another layer. That's just another layer of just really being like enveloped in, I guess, this world that is hip.
And not to pick favorites, but is there a song of yours that you like, and maybe want to explain why you like it?
Mm. Honestly, the intro for Gaia, the bass Gaia, is one of my favorite tracks I've ever produced, written, recorded, mixed, ever, 100%. Just plainly because obviously the sonics of it, Tile and Avion went crazy when it comes to the melodies and the orchestral arrangements when it comes to that. And me being able to lay the drums and additional layers of like melodies and just like the bass and everything like that, the overall structure, really being able to delve into something that's new for me, like in terms of orchestral arrangement and stuff like that. It was just such a fun track to make. As soon as I heard the melody, I was like, I need that. Send that to me right now. Don't give it to anyone else. I want that. And being able to obviously talk about the lyrics as well, being able to, I guess, speak about something that is more aspirational, much more optimistic amidst like a world where there's so much bad stuff that's going around globally, geopolitically. It was a really free and really liberating and really exciting track. And every time I hear it, I'm just like, God, like I'm so proud of that track. The Light is yeah, such a like one of my favorite tracks I've ever made of all time. 100. It's such an important track that I feel like will determine a lot of tracks that I make in the future for sure.
And is there, I guess, like any challenges you face while, creating music? Like, I guess, is there maybe any, like, advantages of being an artist, but also any disadvantages too?
Most definitely. I feel like being the artist I am, everything, a lot of it is DIY, doing it myself. Um, and honestly, the biggest thing, just to keep it obviously transparent, I'm like at a stage to where success is coming. Things are going good, but I still need a job. I still need to work a job in order to, I guess, fund everything that I'm doing. I'm completely self-funded. I'm completely independent in a funded sense. So everything that I do is out of pocket. So having to balance that with, trying to make a whole career balancing 12-hour shifts with coming home and making the best track you've ever heard in your life and trying to plan this mood board and trying to fit this meeting before this shift and this, that, and whatever. The real life balance of things overall is really, really exhausting. And I feel like us as artists, and this late stage of society, let's say, that we're in, everything is meant to be productive. There's not really much room for rest. And a lot of the time when you're working so hard, when it comes to art as well, you need a lot of lived experience in order to, I guess, produce more art in general. So that balance can be really, really difficult in a sense, but it's all gonna pay off. I feel like there's a certain level of, I guess, mental fortitude that I developed amidst like doing this for years and years. So where this is what I do, man. This is really what I do. This is the price I pay. This is what I gotta eat. Like it is what it is. But I'm happy to play this game for the most part.
And is there something, I guess, oh, sorry, is there some things people should know about you outside of being an artist?
Oh, outside of being an artist, I I love like I said this before, but I really, 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 really love learning. Like I really, really love being taught. I really love see people teaching me things in terms of like their passions, would it be something as like boring as well, nothing's boring really and truly. Like I'm about to say it's boring as bowl caps or whatever, but it's just really seeing people have a passion and being able to like infect me with that passion is something that I really love. I really love education in general, even though I wasn't like I was good in school, but I wasn't the most passionate at that time. The act of learning. I really love watching boring video essays, anthropological essays, stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of that maybe, maybe not can be seen in terms of the passion that I kind of inject in my music. A lot of the time, I've been trying to get into reading a little bit more as well and everything like that. But going to lectures, stuff like that. But I feel like education and learning and stuff like that is a really, really big thing that I always value in any way, shape, or form.
And I guess for our last question, do you have any advice for any upcoming artists, who are going to your direction of music?
Oh, that's a great, great question. I would say two of the biggest things that I've learned, which people have probably heard a million times, but I feel like it's really, really important to, I guess, drill this home. This is a marathon, not a sprint, especially when you're an alternative artist. People just aren't gonna get it straight away. They might not get it for years, decades even. God knows. A lot of it is the fuel for a lot of this to keep going is passion, is the love of the art, and that really should be the foundation of everything. And the second thing is when it comes to your artistry, I feel like in this age where, like I said, everything is focused on productivity and output and everything like that, the most important thing that you could probably like, I guess, take away from this whole grind is to raise the floor, not the ceiling. Raise the floor of like the level of I guess effort you put on a day to day, the level of the quality of art or just whatever you're putting in on a day to day. Because when you keep on focusing on raising the ceiling, there's only so much consistency that can come out of that. But when the floor is raised, that base level, whatever the minimum you could put in on a day to day, once that's like once that rises day by day, week by week, month by month, that's probably the most sustainable approach. And that's a lot of what other people might look for, that consistency, that yeah, that consistency, that diligence for sure.
And sorry, actually, one more
Go
question
ahead,
though.
go ahead.
I wanted to also ask, especially with social media, do you think maybe social media is also pushing more light, onto independent artists?
Ooh, yeah, yeah, but it is again the most saturated that it's ever been. The internet is the most saturated it's ever been. Like artistic industries, whether it be music, whether it be film, whether it be like fine art, whatever. This is the most saturated it's ever been. In terms of the number of people, art is more accessible than ever, in my opinion. Or a lot of art forms are the most accessible they've ever been. In terms of the creation process of it. To where anyone can make anything and put anything out. So it's cool, but at the same time, it does now make it harder to stand out really and truly in a sea of everyone else. So it's a double-edged sword, but I think now people, kind of like what I was saying before, have the most opportunity to, I guess, self-actualize their own like future and their own identity and everything like that, which is really, really cool. But as with everything, it comes with its disadvantages.
And do you think that probably maybe change sometime in the future, even though we can't really predict anything that happens in the future? But I guess maybe some changes around, I guess, the treatment of, I guess, like, I'm sorry, independent artists, within the music industry and stuff.
Yes and no. I see it changing. It's gonna sound real dark, but I don't know if I'm gonna see it changing for the better, really and truly. But that's more of like a just like a little insight of just wider society in general. But I will say I do see things changing. Obviously, we're already seeing the model, like the label industry, the label model just like I guess disintegrating and reforming into its like its newest, latest form. Just because a lot of artists are just making it on their own. So the function of a label is changing and stuff like that. So I feel like the title of being independent is gonna be much it's gonna probably have to be redefined, like what is independent? Like if you're getting any kind of support from any institution, are you truly independent? What does that mean? Blah blah blah. Um, but yeah, I think the only way I see it getting better is if there's a focus on sustainability as opposed to consumption. If that happens, I feel like art can thrive. But at the moment, if there's this focus on just productivity, pumping out stuff every year, every 6 months, constantly, 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 I don't really see too great of a future on the horizon.
Well, it's good that you're being honest about it, you know. But yeah, I guess is there anything else you'd like to add for the interview, or I guess any upcoming news?
Yeah, Gaia Deluxe out April 2nd. Um, That's pretty much that. Working on my next project, which is real exciting as well. Um, Hopefully I'll be about whether it be in the States, whether it be in Europe, Asia, everywhere. And I'm just really excited for 2026, 2027, and beyond. It's really exciting.
Oh, well, thank you so much for letting me interview you. Yeah,
Thank
like
you for
your
having me.
answers. Yeah. And here's a snippet of Besama's newest single coming out this week.
Though we have created a world in which we can thrive and prosper,